This episode of Kind of Funny Gamescast is brought to you by Blue Apron. Blue Apron is the #1 fresh ingredient and recipe delivery service in the country. Their mission is to make incredible home cooking accessible to everyone. They achieve this by supporting a more sustainable food system, setting the highest standards for ingredients, and building a community of home chefs. Not all ingredients are created equal. Fresh, high-quality ingredients make a real difference, so it's important to know where your food comes from. Greg Miller is all about it, as you might have seen from his hashtag Cooking with Greggy series. To this day, he swears by that buffalo chicken sando. Here's a little taste, see what I did there, of upcoming meals: spicy shrimp, pork chops, and garlic piccata mushroom and chipotle pepper enchiladas with lime sour cream. Check out this week's menu and get your first 3 meals free with free shipping by going to blueapron.com/gamecast. You will love how good it feels and tastes to create incredible home-cooked meals with Blue Apron, so don't wait. That's blueapron.com/gamecast. Blue Apron, a better way to cook. Next topic. I got to play Nintendo Switch.
You did?
I did.
1 week ago today, you were in New York playing it.
I was. Me and Big Cab Dog. Taking on the big city.
Yeah.
So this is the first time officially we're going really deep into my whole experience. We talked a little bit about it on the Kind of Funny Morning show. But I wanted to give my impressions on everything they had at the event itself.
How was the food?
The food at the event was not good.
Yeah?
Yeah, no, not good.
Okay.
They did have Nintendo Switch water.
Oh, yes. Did you see somebody who was selling it on eBay for $100?
Which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
They had Nintendo Switch cookies that they gave. Kevin ate it. I didn't eat it.
Because it had all that like fondant on it. You're like, this is why would I want to eat this?
Who likes fondant?
Nobody. That's what you make the cake, you make the cookie with the fondant, then it's a work of art, and I'm never gonna eat it.
Yeah, I'm not down. Not down at all. But overall, the Nintendo Switch event in New York was a total 180 from the disaster that was the presentation.
The press conference.
Oh man. That presentation was so bad. But the next day, it was so weird because like you go in, and granted the difference being very Japanese event, this event in New York, Reggie's there. And that's something that's interesting about the presentation is that so many of the faces we saw are people we've never really seen before. And they kind of shied away from the Reggies and the, Anumas. Like, sure, they had their moments, but it was interesting to see Reggie speak. That they kicked off the New York event with Reggie coming out and giving this like 20-minute conversation. He was just like, yo, we're going to be here real quick. I want to wrap up things we announced. I want to tell you some new stuff. I want to get you guys playing the games because I want to get to your hand ASAP. And it was just such a different take because I'm like, where was this? Like, why didn't you just directly tell people the information of boom, 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 bam? Because all of a sudden it sounds more impressive when you do that. But I was most excited when they let us go play whatever games we want. I walk in, I was like, there's a fair amount of games here playable. I thought it was going to be like closer to like 5, but they ended up being like 15 or so. So playable games, they had ARMS, Zelda, Splatoon 2, Snipper Clips, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Fast Remix, Super Bomberman R, Puyo Puyo Tetris, Sonic Mania, Ultra Street Fighter 2, 1-2 Switch, Has Been Heroes, Disgaea 5, Just Dance 2017, and Skylanders Imaginators. Now, of those, I played about 10 of them.
Lots of Let's Plays up on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames.
Yes, there is. The ones I did not play were 1-2 Switch, Has Been Heroes, Disgaea 5, Just Dance 2017, and Skylanders Imaginators. In addition to that, they had a Mario Odyssey, like, giant trailer loop playing where it just said Super Mario Odyssey Fall or Holiday 2017, and there's just the trailer over and over and over. And like a weird thing where you could put Mario's hat on.
I saw that and take photos with it. Yeah.
So it was like, whatever. At least it was there.
His hat has eyes.
But starting off with the games I didn't play. So 1-2 Switch, wanted to play it. It actually had one of the biggest lines of anything.
Okay.
And I think it's because they had like specific booths just for it, and like they had a bunch of dumbass gimmicky costumes. That
I saw Dan Reichert and Jeff Gerstmann having the cowboy hats on as they were doing the draw game. Yeah,
so it's that was definitely like the kind of the dumb PR area of the event, where it's like there's all the people like, come on, have fun, let's put on costumes.
How many ice cubes are in this glass?
Exactly. So we didn't get to play that, but looking back on it, I actually regret that because that is the one game that really showed off the HD Rumble. So I wish that I had the chance to do that because from speaking to everybody after, they're like, oh shit, like, no, you should have definitely tried that for the different mini games and stuff they have. People seem to think that game is pretty good based on people that have actually played it.
Yeah.
I kind of wrote it off just like I'm sure many people did as, it's just more Nintendo bullshit party game stuff.
And I feel like that's what is, I mean, if people played it and they liked it, fine, but I feel like that still is what it's going to be.
Yeah.
Cool, we got it. We played Zelda for a while. Now let's screw around with this real quick. All right, cool. We did the quick draw on the morning show. Bye. That's,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
exactly. I think that what they're going for, and I appreciate it, is they are going for more of a Jackbox Party Pack feel where they're like a Cards Against Humanity. Like it's less we play and Wii Sports and like that stuff where it's more like
there's a game to learn.
Your whole family can play this. This is not about family as much as it's about a party. Like this is like you're drunk with your friends, we're milking cows. Because it was really funny to see people play. How long does that humor last? Probably not too long, but depending on how many mini games there are. Again, didn't play it, not standing up for it, but everybody that played it seemed to be really into it.
It does seem like, yeah, like we are talking about when you get VR, what game are you going to show?
Exactly.
Hey, cool, you're here for a few beers, and oh yeah, I have a Switch. Yeah, we'll play cart in a second. Well, look at this. We're milking cows. Great. All right, cart.
Yep,
plug in the
back
TV.
to the cart. Has Been Heroes. Looks like a Colin game, if I've ever damn seen one. I didn't have time to play it, but it looks like a indie Vita game. It's coming to PS4, Xbox One, and Switch at the same time, sometime later in this year. Disgaea 5, not my type of game. Didn't play it. Just Dance 2017. It's the same setup we've seen for 6 years now.
But now it's got HD Rumble.
Where there's like 6 girls just like standing there. Come on, dance with me. And it's like no one's fucking doing the demo.
Kev's like, I'll see you guys later. Walked in. 40 minutes later, came sweating.
But then they always get the one guy to go play. And it's just like one random ass games journalist playing with like these 6 super hot girls. They're all dads. And he's just like, I'm like, oh,
puffing,
man,
trying to keep it
I
up,
feel
pants
so
falling
bad
down.
because it's like he doesn't even look like he's having fun. He doesn't want to be there. For the people that are playing and having fun, good for you. But oh man, you just got roped into it. No, no one's happy about that.
The Siren song.
Oh, so bad. And the Skylanders, Imaginators, I didn't need to play.
Skylanders already out.
Yeah, I was just there. Whatever. I didn't play it, but I did use Skylanders as an excuse to be able to hold the controller more.
Nice.
You know,
You walk by, you're like, what? What demo has nobody? Oh, Skylanders. Yeah, great. Oh, I'm a big fan. I got the Crash amiibo too.
Yeah,
Thanks.
so-
all right, bye. No, you didn't even start it, sir.
That's pretty much exactly what it is. And it's always hard at these events because the people give so much pressure.
Oh, sure,
you
yeah.
know, it's like they want you to play the game how they want you to do the demo, and it's just like, oh my god,
So annoying. That's why I hate these events. I hate them.
That's why I like going up to him and hitting the PlayStation button, going to check true. No, you can't. I'm already here. Just let me
like,
see. It's fine,
just,
sir.
Just let it happen. And we experienced that a lot, like where there was a lot of times where I'm like, all right, I just want to use the Joy-Cons, or I just want to play on the thing, and they're like, no, for this demo, you're doing it like this, and it's just like,
Yo, fuck off. Let me play.
and I think that's another thing with the Switch because there's so many different control options. So many of the demos had different controllers, and like that's what we were doing today.
Yeah.
You can go somewhere else, and I was just like, all right, cool. I guess I'll play by your rules. But Imaginators was one of the only systems to have the, I don't even know what they're calling it, but I guess this the Switch standard where it's like the
screen and the
screen
Joy-Cons
with the
attached to it.
Joy-Cons attached. I don't know. Does that have a proper name, or is that just the Nintendo
screen?
Switch? Like when
that configuration.
Because I keep calling it gamepad, but it's not gamepad. But whatever. So I did that to be able to.
I'll look into it for you.
Anyway, so those are games I did not play. Games I did play, ARMS, super good compared to
Super good.
to what. Yeah, it's not going to be great. It's not going to be a system seller. It's not going to be a game that people are playing for years on end. But I do think that it has a Splatoon-like quality to it, where all of the industry is going to look at it and be like, all right, here's this new IP, but like, classic Nintendo, this looks like nothing. And then it actually has a cult following afterwards, and it's a great game that people really bite into. There's something about the characters in this game, playing it, that there's a personality where I'm like, all right, this kind of reminds me of a combination of them nailing the motion controls. So it's like Wii boxing, but there's depth behind it. So it's kind of like the Wii Punch-Out game, but with more precise controls with the being able to turn your hands and all that, combined with the like characters of Overwatch and like really focusing on them as the main focal point of the game.
Sure.
With something like Smash Brothers that is like, all right, cool, well, let's just all get together and play it. So adding those things together, I'm like, there's definitely something there, way more than just, oh, we're going to punch each other.
It's not Wii boxing because when they debuted, we're all like, is this Wii boxing again?
Yeah, and I think in the same way when Splatoon was debuted, it was just like, this is their answer to Call of Duty. Like it's real easy to be snarky about it. And again, I don't think it's going to set the world on fire, but I do think it's going to be way more impressive than people give it credit for. Playing it, I'm amazed at how intuitive it was. I did the Let's Play with Jimmy Wong, and you can even see in the video, like, we wrap our heads around the controls and understand how to do things that at least feel advanced way faster than I'd imagine in other like fighting games or in other motion controlled based things. Because like for so long, even with Wii Motion Plus, it was fighting against the controls to get it to do what you wanted to do.
Sure.
But you can see in the Let's Play, when I want to throw, which is quite often, as a lot of people in the comments have pointed out, I was meaning to do that. You know, I saw he wasn't blocking against throws, so I kept going with that. There wasn't any single time that it didn't throw when I wanted to throw. There wasn't any time where I didn't move or punch when I wanted to. So I was like, oh shit. Like, is it sad that I'm giving a game credit for working? A little bit, yeah.
When it comes to motion controls, nah.
But yeah, so I'm very happy that the game works, and also it was said that you can play the game without motion controls. I think that is really where the game's going to take off.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot better that way. I think in terms of competitive play, but it's fun with the motion controls, and I do think that it's a perfect example of a game that when your friends come over to show off the Switch, and just like, it was a fun thing. Pokken was the other game I wanted to compare it to earlier. In terms of the view
perspective
of playing, yeah.
Real quick, it seems like Nintendo officially calling what you were talking about handheld mode.
Handheld mode.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. That makes sense. Arms and going back to the characters, these characters are going to be in Smash Bros. And I think that that's a good sign of how much Nintendo is banking on this. Like, I really believe that these are characters that could last for a while. And it's cool that they're making new IP with new Nintendo characters because, you know, everybody gets so upset at them relying on the same cast over and over and over. So at least they're trying. Zelda, obviously, it's fucking fantastic. I can't believe that we're going to play it in less than 6 weeks, be able to just get lost in that world. And it's a damn big world. So much so that playing it on the handheld mode, I'm like, I don't know if I need this handheld. It's freaking crazy. Like, the graphics 720 on the screen, no one should be complaining about this. Things look great on the screen. There's no game I saw playing that I'm like, I wish the resolution was higher.
Yeah.
But with Zelda, it's pretty cramped on such a small screen.
Can you read stuff? Is that the problem?
The reading's fine, but it's like having Link and just seeing the world. It's just like, it's a little overbearing. I definitely preferred playing it on the TV. I got to play Zelda in the most configurations out of any other game where I played in handheld mode. I got to play with the Joy Grip controller on the thing, and I played with the 2 Joy-Cons on the screen. And all the control options felt great. None of them felt any noticeably better or worse than the others for Zelda. This game, it really does look special. It looks like it's going to be remembered very fondly.
It looks like a return to Zelda form.
Yeah. Having said that, though, it is Zelda through and through. I appreciate that the game starts off, there's no tutorial, that you just jump in and it's just like, holy shit, like this is a very un-Nintendo move. You know, it's like this is
not beating you over the head.
What we want from a Zelda game.
And this is the same demo from E3, so it's not like you start with your sword, right? You don't get a wood sword and a wood shield and all that garbage.
Same demo from E3, but now playing on Nintendo Switch.
Yeah.
So I played it before on Wii U, so now I didn't notice the difference.
Obviously.
Just playing. There's a whole bunch of graphics comparisons on the internet where you can see like, oh shit, it does look substantially better on Switch, but I didn't notice playing at all. I got to play the same demo, but I also got to do a Let's Play with a Nintendo dev of the section right after the demo, but they wouldn't let me play that part.
Sure.
So I saw a little bit more of that. I feel like people aren't talking about the cons of Breath of the Wild as much as they should be. The controls are pretty bad. Like
you were worried about this being when you started talking to me about it. I think over lunch we were talking about it being antiquated like Last Guardian, right?
Yeah, I mean it definitely gives me Last Guardian vibes. Jump is with triangle or whatever the top button is.
Yeah.
I'm just used to DualShock. And the analog control never felt quite as fluid as I wanted it to. Like when you play a Mario game, you just believe that the game is doing exactly what you want to. It's so buttery smooth and just like every single turn is just right.
Yeah.
Zelda's always been great, but not exactly perfect, but it never needed to be. There's something about this game that playing it, I was just like, man, like it feels kind of clunky. There's a staircase I was trying to go down and I kept getting stuck in the corner. And I'm just like, oh man, like that's not
Link,
good.
what are you doing?
Yeah.
I'll just say my takeaway from my time with it at E3 was brief, but I felt like it was complicated. That was my major thing. I was like, well, this does this, and you can do this with your shield, and you can do this, and you can slide down, and then you can grab a bomb, and then do this. Oh, you hit, and I'm like, simplicity has always been the key with Zelda. Like I played literally every Zelda game except for Skyward Sword. At some point, you have to have like a more simple approach, and I'll be interested to see if that translates. I'll be interested to see if that was just me, or there's me being new to the game.
Yeah, that would be the hope, right? That
I would hope so, but it seems like there's a lot to do, and so.
But I mean, that'll all be introduced slowly, you'd assume, right? I mean, granted, even though you're dropped in without a tutorial, you're not gonna have all your bombs, you're not gonna have all your like swords or bow and arrow stuff.
I mean, even now, having played through the same demo a couple times, I do feel like I do have a better grasp of how to do all those different systems. So it is less, crazy to come at. But
that was my big. I was shocked when I played. I was like, "This is complicated, dude." Like,
well, the big
Zelda's
thing for you
so
too
easy to
is that you couldn't invert.
That was a big thing.
And then you were saying you looked, but you couldn't find it.
there wasn't an invert option for the demo, but there was a menu that I couldn't get to. So I'm assuming that it's in there. But anyway, I mean, the game is fantastic. Like just from the very little I've played, like this seems like the Zelda game that I want to play, and Skyward Sword, I liked. I don't hate it as much as everybody else. And Twilight Princess, I like a lot more than I think a lot of other people do. Wind Waker and all the other ones, obviously amazing. But I'm ready for this game, and I think that it's about time for it to come out. And all the cons aside, like those are all minor things. But I do think that I'm interested that no one else has been bringing them up because I don't think it's just me. Like the controls are pretty damn weird, especially having just beat Last Guardian. I'm like, oh, this feels like that, So we'll see how that goes. Splatoon 2, me and Kev did a little bit of playing of it. I'm not a huge Splatoon guy. Not that I don't like the game. It's just I just never really got into it, so I'm not good at it or anything. But they had a huge setup where you could play with a bunch of people at once. That was another game that had various control options to be able to do. But it was also another one that I picked up just to kind of play with the portable mode, handheld mode. Who the fuck calls them handhelds these days?
Nintendo.
Yeah. But Splatoon looks great. People seem to be having a lot of fun with it, so that's good. Snipper Clips, my favorite game that I played at the Switch event. It's a little eShop game. It's a co-op physics-based puzzle game. Super fun. Cannot wait to play through it. We should do a whole Let's Play series or just a long Let's Play of us playing through. It's super awesome. There's a Let's Play up on Kind of Funny Games with me and Daniel Bloodworth from Easy Allies. We had a great time with it. It's a complicated like gameplay elements that you have to wrap your head around, but once you do, you're like, oh, I get how this works, and you kind of go through it. But it's like so frustrating because like you need to not only figure out the puzzle in your head, but the other person needs to, and you need to communicate that, and that's where it gets really complicated because it's kind of like Photoshop where there's layers on top of each other, but whatever the top layer is can snip through the bottom layer, reshaping the other person.
Sure. And
you have to be able to fit into holes. Like there's your two rectangles, and you need to figure out how to fit into a heart shape. So you need to rotate, snip, rotate all the way around, and like just keep going until you fit that heart shape.
Gotcha.
And it's like, all right, cool. That's the simple version. Then the next step is like a giant pencil will fall from the sky, and there's a pencil sharpener that's horizontal, and you need to catch the pencil and bring it over and get it into the sharpener. So to do that, you have to have some sex there and make one of the dudes look like a U to kind of like baseball mitt catch the pencil and then run over and balance it with the other guy until it falls over and bridge it into the pencil sharpener. And it's definitely one of those aha moment games, and I super loved it. I haven't had that much fun doing a co-op puzzle game since like Portal 2.
Oh, wow.
So highly recommend that. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. It's Mario Kart 8. Mario Kart 8 was already with dry bones.
Yeah.
Yes. And battle mode, which is even more important. A proper battle mode. Fuck yes. It's been way too long since we've had that. And it looks great, plays great. There's a whole bunch of new characters too, Splatoon characters and all that shit. Splatoon stages. We don't know official numbers of courses and all that. It's rumored to have 64 total courses, which is insane. That's like 8 Grand Prix. Or 16 Grand Prix. So that's a lot of content.
Yeah.
It's all the DLC and all the stages and characters from the original Mario Kart 8 plus more. But yeah, it's Mario Kart, so duh.
Can't wait.
You either like it or you don't.
Can't
and if
wait.
you don't, you're an idiot. We were forced to play it with the single Joy-Con.
Oh, how was that?
With motion
Was that
controls.
perfect, huh?
And it was fucking horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the Let's Play, there's a moment where I'm like, I turned it like after the first map we did. I'm like, hey, can we turn off the motion controls? He's like, not for this demo. I was just like, look at the camera. I'm just like, oh, Nintendo. And it's just like, why, man? Why are they pushing this? Even for the people that are here. They obviously don't want to fucking do that.
Yeah. Well, they want you to have your experience, though, and you have your hands-on impressions that it sucks, I guess.
Oh, my God. Well, that was that. Couldn't take away from Mario Kart, but they damn tried. Fast Remix. It's semi-ports of an eShop game on the Wii U called Fast Neo Racing. It's kind of like an F-Zero homage.
Yeah.
Super awesome game. I'm happy it's getting a second life. It deserves it. Super Bomberman R, another game that I really loved. The Nintendo Switch seems to be a kind of renaissance for nostalgic 90s games coming back in like slightly modernized ways. And I'm all about that. Like between Super Bomberman R, Street Fighter, and Sonic, I'm like, all right, cool. This seems like a machine for me.
Sure. Yeah, a lot of people were talking about Super Bomberman. They really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was one of the better experiences I had playing a game. It's Bomberman. It's nothing new. But that's fun. And I think it's been long enough that I haven't played a Bomberman. Like I think the last one I really played was on Game Boy Advance. So it's been a while. And I'm like, fuck, this game is fun, especially in a modern age of Let's Plays and, playing games as content.
Yeah.
I think that there's a definite new home for it. And playing online sounds super awesome. There's a story mode too that I got to play a little bit of, and it sounds like there's going to be a fair amount of content there. From the little I played, there was enough gimmicks and switch ups that I'm like, oh, cool. Like
Switch ups?
So are we replacing the...
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you got
okay.
it.
There you go.
By the time we switch. Real quick before we go, and this might be me being just stupid, which happens more often than not. Have they talked about, is there an ad hoc mode? Like if you and I are sitting on the plane with our Switches and we want to play, not Snipper Clips, I guess, but like Mario Kart when it's out, is there ad hoc or do we need to be on a Wi-Fi
I'm not
network?
clear.
Okay.
I don't know about that.
I guess you could always play locally for these games too, where I could shut mine down. And
They
you
have
could
nothing
join.
to announce at this time.
Yeah, nothing.
Please be excited for E3.
Did you see that story that Jason Schreier put on
Kotaku?
Kotaku? It was the fucking funniest thing I've ever seen.
didn't see, what was it?
He asked them like 10 different questions. I think they answered 2 of them. And then like the rest of them were, we have nothing to announce at this time. I was like, do you have a trophy achievement system? We have nothing to announce at this time. Do you have blah, blah, blah? We have nothing to announce at this time. Like, when will you announce it? The console's out in 6 weeks. Will you announce it soon? Will you have something to say about your trophy system soon? Or anything else? Will you have anything to say at all?
Say something.
No, the console's 7 months, probably premature. So that's probably why they have nothing to say on it.
Puyo Puyo Tetris.
Mm-hmm.
Super fun game. I got to play it for a bit. It was the first Let's Play that we did. It's Puyo Puyo and Tetris at the same time, and they switch back and forth between each other. So as you're playing like a multiplayer match, and for those that don't know, Puyo Puyo, it's the same game as Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine or Kirby's Avalanche, or there's a whole bunch of other games that it goes under. It's kind of similar to Tetris Attack or Pokemon Puzzle League, but you have to match 3 instead of 2. You play through that, and then after a set amount of times, like 20 seconds or whatever, it'll switch to Tetris. And you have to play Tetris, then after 20 seconds, it'll switch back to Puyo Puyo. But the kind of extra layer there is as it switches, the blobs or the blocks that were falling are still falling. So the last ones, you need to think ahead and look at the timer and be like, oh shit, I need to get this where it needs to go so it drops in the right place. So when it switches over, it keeps up the combo and all that. And it was a lot of fun. I could definitely see you guys getting into it, Tetris.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's coming. This is a game people are really excited about. This game came out in 2014 in Japan, and we've all seen things on it, but I was a little disappointed in the sense that it's coming to PS4 and Xbox One as well, and this announcement would have had more resonance if the trophies didn't leak for the game like the week before the Switch came out, because then I was expecting that it was gonna, we had already known it was coming in some respects, so I think this would have been a bigger hit for a lot of people, because this is a great game for a handheld. Mm-hmm. So I was a little saddened by that, because I think it took a little bit of wind out of their sails with that particular announcement.
I mean, for me, I didn't know shit about it, and even when they announced it, like during the presentation, like just the name came up, I was like, I don't know what the fuck. But playing it, I was like, oh shit, this is good.
Yeah,
it's a lot of fun.
That's the thing. I remember when it came out for the trophies leaked, and we were talking about it there, and I was like, oh man, I'm excited for it based on what I know, and then having it there is great. But I'm like, is it going to be? When is it coming to PlayStation 4, and what's the trade off, and where are we getting them?
Yeah, I think a big thing for me that I don't want to go understated is that I had fun playing all the games that I played at the event. None of them blew my mind except Zelda, but I'm happy with what we're getting so far. And like, I don't know, there's no Mario. I wanted Mario. I'm very upset I didn't get to play Mario there, but the games I did play all were small titles that I'm like, cool. Now, I think the majority of the ones that I'm really standing by are eShop titles. So it's like, Speaking of smaller titles, Sonic Mania. Love that game.
You love that
since the first time I played it. I even saw it. I've got to play the same demo I played a million times on Switch. It was another one where they forced me to play with a goddamn Joy-Con. Me and Kev played 2-player co-op, which is a thing in this. You can play as Sonic and Tails at the same time.
Nice.
If Sonic goes too fast, Tails just doesn't get to play anymore and gets warped back. And it's dumb. It's super tacked on, and that mode shouldn't exist because it doesn't work. And it was like there was the first demo I got to play at the event, and because there was no line for it, so I just ran straight to it. And I asked the lady, can I just take the controllers and put it in the thing? And she was like, oh, yeah, sure. So I got to play one level like that.
And then Reggie exploded through the wall.
Someone came over and was like, excuse me, you can't play that way. I was like, God damn it. So then
why are they so weird? Why does it matter how people are playing it?
They're always like that, man. It's fucking bullshit.
They know if they let you, you'll play it like a normal video game.
Preview events are so annoying. Like, I wish they would just, like, we even had it with, when we played a bunch of people PS4 games at E3 last year when I was playing Horizon, and the guy, really nice guy, was sitting with me or whatever, and eventually I was like, I'm just going to play now. Like, I don't play games, people chattering in my ear and telling me what to do. I'm going to play the way
If you bring up your menu wheel now, you can use this actually, because what's interesting about taking these guys down is you can use your weapon user right now, but you can also tether this. Shut the fuck up!
The person at home's not going to have this, and I don't need it either. Like, that's the whole thing. It's like, just let me play. Like, it's a self-conscious experience, and it's also like it's annoying. It was one of the reasons why I was super turned off about playing, not only because I couldn't invert Zelda at E3, but just in the sense that of like having someone just in your face the entire time. I was like, dude, just walk away. I'll let you know if I need you to explain anything for me, but otherwise it detracts from the experience. And so it's disappointing that they did that to you, because it's like, if you want to play like that, you should be able to play like that.
The whole point of the system.
Who's getting hurt by that?
Yeah.
It's bizarre.
Yeah, and that's something interesting too. Is again, the best experience I had playing was Snipper Clips, just because that was definitely like the sleeper hit of the event, where everybody that played it loved it, and there was nobody at that demo station telling people what to do.
Nice.
There was just controllers that you go and pick up and play, and it's just like, maybe there's a note there. But yeah, so after that we played Ultra Street Fighter 2. It's crazy. There's a new Street Fighter 2 coming out. Like, good Lord, the final challengers. It's a little upsetting that the two new characters are evil Ryu and violent Ken.
Yeah, just palette swaps. Do they have new skills?
Yeah, they do. There's different abilities and stuff. I don't know what they are because I'm not that deep into that shit, but I asked them and they said there was differences.
It would have been cool if they took some of the more modern characters from the 32-bit or Beyond era and pixelate them. If you threw in, like, I don't know, like Birdie and whatever, Cody or something like that, would have been cool.
Yeah, it's Street Fighter 2, which is super awesome. There's 2 modes. There's retro and HD. HD makes it look like the HD remix that came out on PS3 and Xbox 360 last gen, which I'm pretty sure got taken off the stores.
Sounds right,
at
but
some
I don't know
point.
for sure. Yeah.
I don't know, whatever. But I love those games when they came out. And it also has retro mode where you can play how it used to look. And there's a bunch of single player stuff they added to. Like there's where it's Ryu and Ken versus Bison. So it's like story element stuff, kind of like the rival mode in Street Fighter 4. So that's cool. I got to play against this dude, and he was talking a lot of shit, and I beat him.
Nice.
And I'm real happy about that because I'm not good at these games, but it felt good.
Dime out the dude. Who's
good.
the dude? Who is this motherfucker?
I have no idea who this dude is. Gave me attitude though.
Dan Reichert?
Appreciate that shit. No, some random Nintendo guy.
It was Dan Reichert.
It was not Dan Reichert. Dan Reichert was at the event though. Rich George was also at the event. Reggie was also at the event.
Bill Trennan.
At the event, but I didn't see him.
So was this guy talking shit though? Bill in a mustache.
Maybe it could have been. Definitely could have been. Hardware. It's an important thing to talk about.
Yeah, you glossed over it when we did the morning show, but give me the rundown of the controllers again. The controller configs.
You got the Joy-Cons. Really tiny.
Yeah.
Just as tiny as they look. That's not to say they're not comfortable. They're good. They're solid controllers, especially when in the Joy-Con grip.
Now, you were saying the Joy-Con grip is as good as the Pro Controller.
Joy-Con grip, Pro Controller, equal.
Okay.
Totally. That when in a grip, it's a legit controller. It doesn't feel like super shitty. It's not like a weird third-party knockoff. It's like, oh, this is a solid controller.
Okay.
It's what I did the Zelda demo on, and I'm like, I could play a whole Zelda game this way and be totally cool with it. I prefer the Pro Controller because it has bigger buttons.
Gotcha.
I've always been somebody that likes big buttons. I always talk shit about the Vita and 3DS because they have such little baby buttons. The Joy-Con controllers are baby buttons. Like
Gotcha.
they're, I think, the exact same size as 3DS, which to me is a problem. I don't like that shit. The D-pad on the Joy-Con feels wrong because it's not the Nintendo D-pad. It's because you're used to the Nintendo D-pad being the cross, right?
Yeah.
This is 4 separate buttons. And the reason they did that is because they want the two controllers to be completely symmetrical to each other so people can play with left or right, like alone. And I think that's kind of my biggest problem with a lot of the decisions Nintendo made from a hardware perspective is they made so many concessions and so many decisions based off things that I don't think consumers care about or want. And I think that like their big push with all the motion control stuff is an example of that. And I don't think that the motion control stuff is bad. And I think that games like ARMS are examples of it being good. But you don't need to focus on that, especially to the detriment of the people that are actually playing these games. And I think the focus on playing with just a Joy-Con controller is another example of no one's actually going to do that. And if they are, they shouldn't be the people that you're marketing towards because that is family stuff where it's like the two dumb kids that don't know what they're doing that just want to play.
Yeah.
In that case, they're totally fine. They don't need them to be symmetrical controllers. They'll figure it out. They figured it out for years with the Wii when the Wii made no damn sense when you turn it on its side and it's like all of a sudden the buttons are in weird ass places like with the 1 and the 2 and all that shit.
Sure.
But I do think that there's some major problems there. But overall, they feel good. And what I'm extremely happy about is when they're separated and you just have them in your two hands, kind of like a nunchuck and a Wiimote, that's when it's at its best. I can totally see myself playing games that way.
Weird.
Mario Galaxy is what really kind of pushed me over the edge of not hating the Wiimote nunchuck situation where I was like, I actually like this, minus the waggle. Just having your hands separated feels pretty natural to play a game, especially when you're used to doing this. It's like, it's shocking that it's as fun as it is. And I don't know if you agree with me on that, but
Yeah, I had no problem with that setup. Galaxy control like a dream.
yeah, exactly. And so I like it. I think that this is a even better step forward because whereas on the Wii, you just had the analog stick and the nunchuck and Wiimote were two very different devices, having it be essentially two halves of a controller. I'm like, all right, cool. Being able to play any game this way is going to be awesome.
You can wrap your head around it real quick.
Yeah. And whether it's tabletop mode or on the TV, like it makes sense. And I'm looking forward to it. Just being able to sit, like, I mean, nowadays wireless controllers are standard, so it's not like that crazy of a thing, but being able to sit wrapped in a blanket with your hands however the fuck you want, like just be comfortable. That's how
That's how you play sometimes? You're sitting here? Okay.
I'm excited about that. But overall, I wish that the Nintendo Switch from a hardware perspective, from the handheld mode, is everything I could ever want it to be, except for this, and this. So it's not.
Yeah.
You know, when you go back to years ago, even talking about on Gamescast, talking about what we want from the Vita 2, the Switch is essentially all of those things. You know, it's like, I just want a big screen that I can just play games on, use a real controller for, or whatever. It's like all that I want, except with tiny ass baby buttons and all these weird ass things. So I'm upset about that, but it doesn't matter because there is so many different control options. The Joy-Cons, to wrap that shit up, the motion is the most precise motion I've ever seen in games. It felt better than PlayStation Move. It felt better than Wii Motion Plus. And I already thought they were at a point with even with PlayStation Move that I'm like, this is pretty damn good. You know, I can't imagine needing or wanting better. But ARMS was the best motion control experience I've ever had. So there's that. There's HD Rumble.
There's no sensor bar or camera. Is it all just done by the stuff inside the controllers?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, there was no sensor bar, so
Just making sure. I didn't know if there was something on handheld mode or the dock that was doing something.
No.
Just double checking.
The HD Rumble stuff, as I said on the morning show, so far feels more different than better. It's definitely different. The vibration is noticeable in a way that I haven't felt in video games since it started back in like Star Fox 64.
Sure.
Like, but I don't know that that's a good thing. Like, I don't want to notice the vibration in my controller. But if gameplay, is based on that, then that could be cool.
That's the whole thing, right? I remember Rumble was distracting when it first got introduced, right? When you'd feel things whirling around, like what
it's
the hell
constantly
is this?
doing shit. So I don't know. And I also didn't play 1-2 Switch, which is the game showing that stuff off the most. So there is that. I've been corrected many times based on the morning show that the Pro Controller also includes HD Rumble, and maybe the games that I was playing on that controller versus others, I didn't feel it as much, but I didn't feel it as much. So it's either more intense in the Joy-Con or Rumble just wasn't featured as prominently in the games I played on that controller. The Pro Controller, fantastic. It's a real controller with, a real setup of buttons and sticks that makes sense. I do think that in the pantheon of current gen console controllers, it's dead last. I think that both the DualShock and Xbox One controllers are superior. Not necessarily vastly superior. I think it's closer than it could be, but I wish that they tried a little harder to nail this. The big ass buttons are super choice. The D-pad is the D-pad that I love. So it answers a lot of the issues that I had with the Joy-Cons. Don't love the triggers, but that's also because I'm used to DualShock 4 triggers, and I do prefer those over the Xbox One. This is more similar to Xbox One. Obviously, there's many millions of people out there that prefer the Xbox One controller over the PS4, so it's all a matter of taste at that point. But I think that overall, very solid controller. Is it worth $80? No, it's not.
But it's got that
60
HD Rumble.
fine. Yeah, it does. So we'll see where that goes, but I don't think that makes it worth it. But it is cool that it has all the gyro stuff and the IR stuff that the Joy-Cons do, or even the gamepad, so you could play Splatoon and move just like you can with the gamepad, and it feels just as right. So that's good. The user interface, very, very, very limited for how we got to see it, but it's very sleek and clean compared to the Wii U. No focus of Mii's, none of that stuff. In reports in the last couple of days, we saw that Mii's will be on the Switch, but they're deep in the options system to go make one. It's not like a prominent feature. Miiverse is dead. But the whole focus of the UI is games. It's like just 4 big blocks that are just the different games you can play, and then there's just like 5 settings underneath it that are like, settings and, internet and eShop and whatever. I'm like, all right, cool. That's good that they're taking a more adult design interface. So excited about that. And the thing that I'm super impressed by is the speed at which it docks and undocks, which sounds like a stupid thing, but it blew my mind at how responsive and snappy the Switch was. And it does lead to the name Switch. And I think that a lot of why they called it that is because of how ridiculously crazy it is switching from TV to portable mode is. When we saw in the Jimmy Fallon thing, everyone thought that was like a fake ass video playing and like, there's no way it'll switch that fast. It really is. Like, me and Kevin were like mind blown every time we saw someone take it out and how quickly it would turn on and switch from the modes. It is instant. Like, it's as instant as unplugging and plugging in an HDMI cable. So it's like there's like that 0.1 second of lag, and all of a sudden it's on, and I'm like, man,
that's awesome.
Good for you guys. And detaching and reattaching the controllers, super easy. It's never like you never have to fumble and figure it out. And overall, this is the most adult hardware Nintendo has ever made. All of it, from Joy-Con, the handheld mode thing, the Pro controllers, all of it feels like adult products and not kids' toys, which is awesome because it still has the kid games, which is why I love them. So,
well, yeah, that was the big thing takeaway, right? Of that, it looks sexy, right? For all these problems that we have with launch lineups or whatever the hell it's going to be, like what it looked like is it looks great. So I'm glad you played it and feel that way as well.
Yeah.
How thick is it? How thick is a Joy-Con?
So thin.
Yeah.
So ridiculously thin. Like, that's the craziest thing is how sleek the entire device is, where it is just like a big Vita, which is a great thing. You know, I'm a little sad about how much bezel there is on the screen itself, and I get it. It has to be there so that it can be docked in tabletop mode and for all the different functionality that it has. So yeah, it's a little sad to see so much of the screen real estate be taken up by like the black bars around it, especially when you play something like Zelda. And I'm like, man, I could really appreciate that extra inch of real estate. But I'm sure I'll get over it. And again, it's just disheartening because like I was like looking at I was on a flight back from New York and I had my iPad Pro up, and I'm like, why can't this just be the Switch? You know?
Yeah.
Like, why can't I just attach a controller to this and download an app and play Nintendo games? Because that's all I freaking want to do.
Yeah.
But whatever. Dreams are dreams.
Your dreams 2019.
Yeah.